Okay, so to answer your question, I was on a boat, but it turns out I have the ultimate first world problem. Starlink works great offshore, but when you're in the harbor and there's tall buildings around you, it doesn't work. So I'm in a business center at the yacht club, which sounds fancier than it is, and it's lit like a Home Depot. So I'm trying to wing it with a little tiny light. But here we are.
Bad decisions. Bad decisions. Bad decisions.
Welcome back to the Bad Decisions podcast, where we lead not with celebrity, but with story. Today's guest is a man who has turned reality TV obsession into a full-time profession and somehow made this look like a respectable career. He's the host of the wildly popular podcast Behind the Velvet Rope, where he's interviewed everyone from housewives and housewife adjacents to the actual people who create the chaos. Before that, he was a corporate lawyer, a business mogul, a guest on Millionaire Matchmaker, and most likely your favorite housewife's worst nightmare. He has tea hotter than a Starbucks lawsuit and enough dirt to make Andy Cohen blush. Please welcome David Yontef.
I am kind of a lot of housewives' worst nightmare, aren't I? They would probably agree with that too.
I think it's cool.
Listen, you could either do your own thing in this world and make yourself happy, or you could worry about what the whole world thinks of you, right?
My friend, I'm with you 100%. So given the fact that I'm in South Beach, first of all, our mutual friend Melissa Rivers constantly tells me that I'm not really cut out for work, and she's usually right. I'm in Miami. Do you have any good divorced housewives for me here?
Divorced housewives. Well, what age range are we looking for?
I'm not ageist, from the newlywed to the nearly dead.
Okay, well, that's a pretty big range. We have Adriana Demora, who is, I believe, 60 and just gorgeous, and just appeared on. That's a good one for you.
Yeah, that's a contemporary. I'll be 60 in November.
She's like gorgeous. She had some guy on the season premiere of Real Housewives of Miami this season. We think it's a fake boyfriend that she just said, "Hey, do you want to film an episode with me?" Nobody thinks he's real, so I think she's probably the one.
All right. So how we had lunch, we chatted a little bit. How does a corporate lawyer end up in the Bravo verse? Was there a specific moment where you said, "Screw the suits, I want to be in the circus"?
I mean, listen, I did have a stop in the middle. So I went to law school. Did I ever really like law school? If you think about it, what graduate degree? Because most people that get a graduate degree, right? You're getting a PhD, like you really love what you're studying. I think at the graduate level, it's not really the case for law school. I think a lot of people go to law school for a lot of different reasons. So it's not like everyone, it's not like a typical graduate degree where you don't really love it. But I figured, who really loves law school? I'll love it afterwards. I never really loved it. I love thinking like a lawyer. It's a great education to have. So it doesn't shock me. I also practice corporate tax. So I don't know. That's about as boring as you get. So I never really liked that. I did go from that to HR and recruiting, and I had my own staffing agency. So I did have an entrepreneurial in between before I went from that to where I am now.
And what was this sort of eureka moment where you decided that this was your calling?
Well, so after law, I don't miss the law at all. I went into recruiting and staffing, and I had my own staffing company. And then that business started changing. And I did that for 10 years. So that was enough. So after I disposed of that company successfully, I really did nothing. I really was just like you say that Melissa Rivers, our mutual friend, tells you that you're not meant to work. Well, I didn't work for a minute, and it was fine. I enjoyed it, but I realized I got to do something. And so, look, I live in New York. You and I met in LA. I live in LA and New York. We're surrounded by these people, right? It's like celebrities, people that are actors. It's not that hard I just kind of fell in with a reality TV crowd in New York City. So when I started my podcast, basically I was in this world and I was like, there's something here. There's got to be some business for me here. When I started my podcast, it was very Wendy Williams. Like Wendy Williams would always tell stories. Well, last night I was with little Kim and we were at the bar, and let me tell you what she did. So I was hanging out with these housewives and I was like, well, I'm not going to reveal deep secrets. Like if you're going to get a divorce in 3 weeks, I'm not going to tell the world. But if you went home with someone or kind of had too much to drink and fell off the bar stool, I'm like, maybe this is a podcast. So that's kind of how I started my podcast. It was very Wendy Williams inspired when I first started it. And then it just turned into something else because it really was right before COVID also. So I started it right before COVID and I started with these stories, but then I was like, well, let me try to get some interviews. I reached out to everyone in the Bravo world and I didn't understand that every single person got back to me because everyone was home and had nothing to do. And I was like, we have like 56 interviews now that people said yes to. I'm like, how is this going to work? So, and listen, we didn't know. Right. And like we didn't know what Zoom was at the time. So my podcast would started one day a week. And by the way, I didn't start this podcast as a business. I really started it as like, I don't know, I'm not doing anything with my life. I had a company I sold. So that put me in a situation to figure things out. And I didn't need to work. So I started it not really to be a business, but then when I had all these interviews, we went to 2 days a week and then ads came in and it just turned into, and somewhere in there, I realized I'm happy not working, but if I work, I'm all in. There's no in between. Sorry for a long-winded answer.
No, it's a great answer. It's a great answer. Yeah, I mean, this obviously wasn't, I didn't go into this for the money either. I just enjoy talking to people, and I like to think that if I talk to people that I find interesting, other people will find it interesting too. And yeah, I've had some successful episodes, but my joke about the whole thing is I could someday make literally hundreds of dollars from this.
Well, listen, you're on your. How long have you been doing this podcast?
You are my season 3 finale, episode 30.
Wow.
So a year.
Okay. I love being the season finale. Listen, you either want to open the season or close the season, right?
Well, Dita Von Teese's was last year's season finale on the same yacht, so we have that in common.
I had Dita Von Teese on my Behind the Velvet Rope podcast too. Lovely, right?
She's the best. I've known her for 30 years.
Wow.
I met her on my first paid job as a photographer. I was shooting strippers for Playboy. And she was the first city I shot in was Phoenix, Arizona, and the first exotic dancer, which she was not like that kind of stripper. She was doing the Dita thing just at a smaller scale. And we met on that shoot, and then we just by pure kismet, we got seated next to each other on the Southwest flight home to LA the next day, and we've been friends ever since.
Wow. I find her, I mean, I don't know her that well, but just from interviewing her, you get a sense. I've done this. I think I'm on like my 1500 show now. She just seemed like a kind, gentle soul to me.
She is. She's a real artist and she's got a big heart. She's a good person. She's wise.
That's good. And she's like, it's a real business. I mean, she's still in Vegas, I think, doing her thing.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, she's done a few different iterations of Vegas, and now I think she's in Ireland or somewhere in the British Isles. Because I had a podcaster friend who is a TV star, Ivana Milicevic, and a model that I've known forever, asked me to ask her if she would come on her show when she's in Dublin. So I passed it on.
There you go. Okay.
So what did young David want to be when he grew up?
I mean, listen, you are born in an upper middle class suburb to Jewish parents. It really, I don't know if there really was much thought process. It was like, sweetheart, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, and let us know what you think about those two options.
Yeah, I got 3 options: doctor, lawyer, or businessman, but the arts are for schmucks. And my parents were not wrong in saying that.
Right. So it's like, but I mean, I did, it wasn't like, so I did want to be a lawyer growing up. I, never really made that thought process. I was always good in school and got straight A's and all of that. I mean, I actually majored in accounting in law school. So all my professors were like, I did well. They were like, you have to go work at one of the big accounting firms. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going straight to law school. So like, I loved numbers. I loved business. Look, they're all degrees that I use every day in this podcast. I mean, when you interview people, law comes into play every second of my job.
Yeah, and my degree's in psychology, which I chose only because it had the highest enrollment of women at the University of Colorado at Boulder. But I use that every day.
You do. See, look at our degree. So, I mean, that's why. So, I always knew it was always law. And I mean, yeah, I mean, listen, I took an AP biology course in high school and I was like, I just can't dissect the frog. Like, it's just, I tried. It just doesn't work for me. If I was good with that, I probably would have gone to, I mean, the only other thing I wanted to be besides a lawyer at the time was like a psychiatrist. I wanted to go to med school and prescribe drugs and listen to people's problems. And I didn't do well in AP bio. And I'm like, this isn't going to work.
Not your jam.
Not my jam.
So I've been volleying DMs back and forth with your old pal Patty Stanger. Tell me about Millionaire Matchmaker. How did that come together?
So it's so funny. Like back in the day, I knew casting directors. This is like now I live between New York and LA. I lived in New York the whole time. And, that show was in LA and it was in the fourth season. It was coming to New York, like season 4 was the big thing. We're bringing the Millionaire Matchmaker to New York. So I knew these casting directors and they were like, you would be perfect for this. I mean, I was the Bachelor and I was like, okay. And I didn't really want to do it. I had been in the mix for a lot of other reality shows. Some of that I really wanted to do at the time. And this, I didn't want to date anyone at the time. I was like, it's just not a good fit. But I was like, listen, I say yes to everything in life. I really think that golden opportunity could be behind the door of what you say no to. So I'm just like,
100%. I say yes. Yeah.
Just say yes, like whatever it is. I'm pretty easygoing like that. So I'm like, sure, I'll do an initial. And it's not like I knew the casting directors. I mean, that doesn't get you the job. Like you have to go and they put you on film and all this. And then we did that. And then it went away for months and months and months and months and months. They would check in every now and then. And then I don't know, out of nowhere, I just was like, look, I remember I was going to Africa for like 2 weeks. I mean, not that long. And I was like, I know you said we should hear around this time, but I mean, this was like 7 months ago. I'm going to Africa. So like, I mean, no ego. I assume I didn't get this and it's great. I'm going to be out of the country. And they were like, my phone rang in 2 seconds. Like, what do you mean you're leaving the country? You know how it is in TV. It's like, hurry up and wait. No one tells you that you're actually in the mix until they want you. God forbid we give you any advance notice. So I'm like, well, I'm going to Africa. And they're like, great. The day you get back, like you need to come do this. Like you got it. And I was like, oh God. So it just shows you when you're naturally yourself and you just don't want something, sometimes if you're right for it, you just get it.
It's I call it reverse manifestation. Everything that I've really, really tried doesn't usually work out, but I never wanted to be an actor. I didn't even like actors. And I ended up doing 40 national network television commercials as a character actor because I didn't give a shit about it.
I could see this. I could see you as a character actor. That was how this was. I was like, so I got in and I was like, okay, and great. Like what a unique opportunity. Then, it comes to the time when it's like actually time to film this and you're like, oh, like I don't want to go on a date. Like my mind, I just wasn't looking for that. I mean, granted, it's a TV show and you can fake it, which is what I did. I was like, I'm just going to have to fake this because, of course you're like, maybe I can meet someone interesting through this process, but I just wasn't in that. Like there were so many people that were probably like, please fix me up. Like people asked me to introduce them to Patty all day these days, like every time, like, oh, well, gosh, sure. I want to meet her, find me a millionaire, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I just didn't want to do this, but there I was. So I did it.
It's so interesting. And so you basically, you did it for sort of the experience, the feeling, the exposure, more than actually like looking for love.
Yeah. And look, I was like, who knows? Like crazier things have happened. Maybe this will be the experience, and look, and it's also helped me with this job. I mean, not really now. We're 6 years in, 6.5. But in the beginning, when I was talking to people from reality TV, look, it's not like I was a cast member for 3 seasons, but you did get to see exactly how things work and how things are reshot, and you have to walk into an entrance 5 times. And so,
how all the chess pieces move. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it really there was drama behind the scenes. Producers were screaming, and you're like, oh, I mean, this was when I was really green back in the day. So you're like, this actually helps me with this job in the beginning. Everything in
Yeah,
life helps you with something, right?
it's funny. Another thing that we have in common is that no matter how dead work is, if I ever want to book a job, all I have to do is buy an airplane ticket to somewhere. So I too was headed to Africa, and I almost canceled at the last moment. I called my father and I said, "Listen, I can't do this. I got 3 weeks in Africa. I have $1,500 in the bank. I am finished. I'm rock bottom right now." And he said, "Kid, let me tell you something. On your deathbed, $1,500, 25,000, $50,000 isn't going to matter one way or the other. When you're on your deathbed, you're not going to remember any of that, but you will remember Africa." So I said, "All right, I'm going to go." And the first leg of the trip landed me at JFK, and then from JFK was to Johannesburg. As soon as I landed in JFK, I booked a $50,000 beauty campaign. So imagine if I'd blown that off.
Wow. And so what? So you couldn't go to the campaign? It was happening
No,
same time. Wow.
the campaign happened right after they were booking me. It was like 6 weeks out. My Africa trip was 3
Wow.
weeks.
See, it all
So
worked
it saved
out.
the day. Yeah, sometimes you just have to let go, right?
Just go, especially when it's Africa.
Okay, best and worst housewives.
Like of all time.
Yeah.
Listen, my answer changes sometimes. I mean, I have a thing like like growing up, like I knew I was going to be a lawyer, but like I did grow up loving pop culture. And my show, like I've interviewed actual celebrities and like Dita, like we deal. So it's like, it's no strange thing that I'm in this business. I have a thing where like I loved 90210 and Melrose Place. So for
Same.
me, Lisa Rinna is just like, I hold her on a higher pedestal because Melrose Place is just the best show that's ever existed. Huge Melrose Place fan. So for me, Lisa Rinna is just the best. Even though the fans didn't like her and ran her off the show. Some say she ran herself off the show, but I love Lisa Rinna.
See, I didn't even know any of that. And I
She's
know who some of these characters are just from around town, but don't hate me. I've seen one episode because someone I know was a housewife for one season and it did not go well.
in Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
Anne Marie Wiley,
Eden.
Carlton, Joyce. Oh, Eden. Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes
she's an old
sense.
friend.
That
Yeah,
makes sense.
she
Yeah.
didn't.
Like
She didn't seem like she dug it.
when I started this podcast, I reached out to her and she was going to do my show. And then, look, I get it. Like, listen, I've had most of them on my show. There's a few that have slipped through, but she just was like, nothing personal. We can talk about sobriety. We can talk about all this stuff. I just don't want to talk about housewives. And I'm like, I get it. I don't think I'd want to talk about housewives if I was on the show and no longer there either.
Yeah, look, not everybody is cut out to be in front of camera and scrutiny and stuff. And I love her, and I've known her for almost the entirety of my time in LA. But some people just don't want to do that.
And it's refreshing when someone really doesn't want to do that because being in LA half the time, as you know, you're there full time, it's
Yeah.
a town of just a lot of like, that's what turns me off. Like, I hate the thirst. I hate the fame whores. I don't like it, which I understand, like,
I'm
no
with you.
judgment. It's
Yeah.
just when you've like, yeah, I mean, like I've done my job now for 6 years, so I've interviewed everyone in the world. Like my whole perspective on fame has truly changed as a result of this job. Truly, like I get it. Everyone's just a person, So I love when someone's like, it's just not for me. I'm like, I love that. Like my job, I absolutely love, but it's not about like being in the public. Like I don't care about any of that. I don't care about a red carpet. Truly, that has changed since I started this job. I'm just like exhausted. I just want to work. And like when we went to lunch, like I don't want to talk shop when I'm not like, I don't want to go to a red carpet. I will, but like, I don't want to. I want to just go to a restaurant and sit in the corner and eat like a burger and like have a real conversation.
Yeah, I am. I am the same way. Like, and I've dated plenty of people in that world. And a few years ago, I went to the Golden Globes with the girl I was dating at the time, and everybody's there. Everybody's around us, and she looks at me like right after the ceremony. We're at one of the after parties, and she goes, "How much longer do you want to stay?" And I said, Sweetheart, I'm wearing leather-soled shoes and I'm wearing a tie. I've been wanting to leave since we got here. And she's like, you don't want to stay because all these people. I mean, look at all these people. I'm like, I see all these people all the time anyway. I'm not interested. Let's go. So she was just like, she was like, you're the coolest guy ever. That's unimpressed by this shit, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. And even like, look, we all have, like, again, like I've met Heather Locklear. So, like, that's like and I've interviewed people that are like, you have days where I think I told you, like, I interviewed Belinda Carlisle. Like, I'm a huge Go-Go's fan. I'm like, this is just, so there's certain things where it's like, look, I'm going to do my job at the end. I got to tell you, this is personal for me. Like, love you. But it doesn't, other than that, I don't really have things to say to celebrities, really. You know, like that whole, like, I'm not going to remember what I said. You're not going to remember. Yeah, everyone says they love you. Like, I don't really need to engage unless it's a real personal, like, you are from one of my favorite bands, period. That's period. I don't even have anything else to say, other than that.
Do you have any dream guests that you've always wanted? Your white
Well,
whales?
Well, it changes a lot. I would love Lisa Rinna for a lot of reasons. I love when someone could check multiple boxes. Like with Rinna, you could talk about housewives and soap operas and throw a little Harry Hamlin. I think it's interesting that her daughters are such huge models. You could Melrose Place, of course. Look, I mean, if we're pretending that like the world is my oyster, like Rinna, I could get. That's not that. I mean, it's not easy. And just saying like but I mean, of course, I would love like Madonna. That's never going to happen. But I mean, if we want to go there, I would love Madonna and Cher. Period. Do you have any favorite guests that you would love?
I'm still feeling my way around. Like I don't have a narrow focus like you do, which is like Hollywood and stuff. And I'm probably doing this incorrectly, but I just like to talk to people that I find interesting and hope other people will find interesting. Like I had Jay Leno on a few weeks ago. Today, the episode that launched is the CEO of Ducati Motorcycles. And given the fact that my audience is 77% women, I don't think anyone's going to listen to that. But maybe bike enthusiasts. He ran Lamborghini and he runs Ducati. Maybe there'll be some car and bike people that will stumble into it. So do I know what I'm doing? No. Am I having fun? Yes.
Well, that's what counts. What were you going to ask me? You were going to ask me about some guest or something.
Oh no, I was thinking
about Madonna.
About the Madonna thing. So did you ever meet her brother?
No, and it's funny. I tried to have her brother on my show, Christopher, when I first started my podcast. And like because I mean, I've gone through a lot of waves of booking myself. Other people have done my booking for me. I wasn't doing it direct, but it was happening. It was in motion. And then again, too, it was like, well, listen, again, I understand it. If you come on, it's easy to say, I don't want to talk about Madonna, but we're going to have one question. It doesn't really matter. The one question is going to go viral. And then you're going to have a whole bunch of nonsense because of it. So I get it. It just
so I had one lunch with Christopher Ciccone, and he DM'd me on Facebook, I think, and he was just like, "Hey, love your work. Do you want to have lunch?" I said, "Yeah, I'll have lunch with you." So I go meet him up on Sunset Plaza at what's the Italian place called that's not there anymore, Cafe Med, and we sit down, and I can't work this guy out. I don't know why he called this meeting, and he says, "So have you read my book?" And I said, "Oh, no, you wrote a book?" He goes, "Yes, it's called My Sister Madonna." I go, "Oh." He goes, "Why haven't you read my book?" And I said, I just don't read books about celebrities." And he goes, "Oh." He goes, "I don't know if you know this, but Madonna and I have had a very tumultuous relationship." I said, "I did know that, actually." And I said, he says, but it's good now. We're talking. We're getting together. And I said, "That's great. It's so great that you and Madonna, you and your sister are hanging out." And he goes, "My sister is Madonna. She does not hang out." And I'm like, what is happening here right now?
It was just,
he was perfectly nice. It was just a peculiar lunch, and I never figured out what it was about.
I was going to say, if you read the book, I mean, it's not like, I wouldn't understand if you're in charge of like making movies at like, Fox Network. Like, if you did read the book, what was supposed to happen?
Did you read the book?
I did. Yes, of course I read the book.
I have no idea what's between those covers. What's the book about?
Look, I think the book didn't do so well for the two of them. I mean, I think they have, she, look, it was just about, like how it's Madonna. Look, there was nothing shocking. It's Madonna's way or the highway, and, on the tours, do the
Yeah.
work. And, look, people were the book was very controversial. A lot of people were like, I mean, she pays you an exorbitant amount of money, you do your job and you go home. Yeah, it's your sister. But I don't know what was supposed to happen if you did read the book. I mean, like, no offense to you, but like, did he want a movie? Like, what he must have wanted something.
Yeah, but I have nothing to give. I know some show folk, but I'm not in show business. I don't know.
That's what I mean.
Maybe he thought it was a date, and then he figured out that it wasn't.
He was barking up the wrong tree. Yeah, I mean that's where my mind goes, to be honest with you. That's what I think.
No, not that I'm a matinee idol, but I couldn't work it out, and this has never come up before, so it's kind of funny.
Interesting. Well, that's an interesting story.
How about a bad guest experience?
I have had bad guest experiences. I've had like every combination of bad guest experiences. Like I have had certain people, to be honest with you, the bad guest experience, which hasn't happened recently, is mostly after the fact. Like I've had people on where nobody's upset, everyone's loving life, and then the show comes out and something goes viral. It's like, first of all, so the person doesn't call you directly. It's like, well, you're so concerned as their PR. I've had done many shows with a whole network, a team of PR people on the Zoom, hiding out. You could have been there if you were that concerned. I mean, I wouldn't have said no. I really am not in the position to say no. So why weren't you there if you're that upset? They're upset now. And so it's that, or I've had people afterwards call publicists and say, listen, we weren't on the call, but so-and-so wants you to edit this out. And I'm just like, sorry, that's not happening. Like, this is a job. I'm not everyone's doormat. I used to say yes to everything in the beginning, and
Yeah.
I don't anymore. And yes, over 6.5 years, as anyone in the entertainment business, I have burned bridges. Is not something I wake up and want to do. It's just like, mind you, most of the time when someone wants something edited out, it's never the right thing. You're like, oh, sure, I'll like edit that out. That's not what's going to go viral, sweetie. But so it's mostly after the fact. I have had people on that I had one housewife be like, "Oh," like every 5 minutes she was yawning. And it's like, first of all, you were totally high, which is fine, smoke away. But I mean, do you not want to do this? Like, you're also not on the show anymore. You're not that big. Like, don't do me any favors. But she was yawning the entire thing. It was Gina Keogh from the OC Housewives, one of the originals. I was like, hello, am I keeping you up? Sorry.
Yeah. So all right. So things to watch out for. They don't all go well, do they?
They don't all go well. I mean, the only other real thing is like I've never had a real controversy on air. It's always annoying. Like there are some people you're so excited for, like you really can't tell. And it's like, it's the one word answers. It's like, okay, you did answer my question, but we have no back and forth. And then, just sometimes you still go through with it. So it's like more like that. I've had this Gina Keogh was yawning a lot of it. And then other times you're like, there have been times where I'm like, oh, I don't know, or this person kind of seems like a hard ass. Like, I don't really, like, I'm really on edge. Like, this is like, not even just like a big name, but they're not going to be down to just roll with it. And so I'm like, I'm, more buttoned up. Like, I can be buttoned up from my days in corporate law. And then I'm like, oh, this person is like, ready for anything. Another one of my favorite guests too, like Susan Lucci was great. She was like a friend of a friend. She had nothing to promote. We didn't know if she was going to do video because, hair and makeup, like she didn't ask for any money or hair and makeup, but she just was like, and I was like, oh, please try to have her do video. But she had nothing to promote. It was a true favor. And it was like, I mean, I was like, this is Erica Kane. Like, I don't care what we talk about. Like,
No,
I'm
this is mega
right.
icon.
Mega icon. And then at the end, and this was earlier on in my career, at the end, she was like, I just want to say, Suzanne Summers told me the same thing, but Susan Lucci was like, this was just such a thorough, great, and it wasn't like I didn't prompt this. She was like, I need to tell you before we leave, you're excellent at what you do. And I'm just like, I can die now. Like, this is like, Susan Lucci, you're an icon.
Well, who to you is the new Susan Lucci? Because I immediately, for a while, it was Diane Warren, the most Oscar nominations, but then she got a Lifetime Achievement Oscar. I'm going to have to go with Edward Norton. He has, I think 5 Oscar nominations and Never a Bride.
Yes, although you know who really I don't, so I'm so into TV and music. I don't really get that passionate about the movies, but I have to tell you, I'm not okay with Demi Moore not winning the Oscar. Like, that's just I mean, I get it. You have to give it to the right person, but like, and age should have nothing to do with it. But I'm like, you're 25. You have to just give. I mean, not that Demi is done with her career, but I'm like, just I didn't even see the substance. I haven't gotten around to it yet. That's how not into movies I usually am. But
Yeah,
I
I
was
think
like,
we I think we also give entirely too much credit to these academies too. Like I saw Carol Kay, the legendary bass player from the Wrecking Crew, is refusing her Rock and Roll Hall of Fame honors because she just thinks it's bullshit. And it's like we've all known the voting members of the Academy. It's a bunch of old people that will vote for you if they've heard of you before, but they're not diligently watching all of their screeners.
yes. Well, the Go-Go's were in a big thing of like, I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, where is it? Then it happened. Cher has said for years, I will not, under any circumstances, if they give this to me, accept it. Because how dare you not give it to me yet? And I was like, yes, you are fucking Cher. And then they gave it to her and she accepted it. So there, but she notoriously, there's interviews out there, like numerous, where she's like, they can kiss my ass. I don't want it. Do not give it to me. And it wasn't like she was jockeying for it. She's like, I mean, this is ridiculous. Don't bother. I don't care. I mean, does Cher really have any problems? I mean, although she does
No,
now.
she's an EGOT. She's
Right.
fine.
But then they gave it to her and she took it. I was like, oh man, Cher.
Okay, I have some shared dish for you. You ready?
Yes.
So about maybe 4 years ago, my friend, an English lady in Malibu, says, "Hey, are you single now?" And I said, "I am." And she said, "Would you go out with Cher?" And I said, "Cher who?" And she goes, "Cher." I said, "Cher?" She goes, "Yeah, Cher." I go, "I'd go out with her." She goes, "All right, can I send her your social media links?" I said, "Yeah, please do." So I don't hear from her. I'm talking to her, but it's not coming up. So it's like she doesn't bring it up in a week. She doesn't bring it up in 2 weeks. Doesn't bring it up in 3 weeks. And I said, "All right, Jules, what's the deal? Did you talk to Cher?" She goes, "Yeah." She said, "You're too old for her." And I'm like, "Too old for her? I watched her on Sonny and Cher when I was like 4 years old." She goes, "If guys can do it, so can women. You're too old for her." And I was like, you know what? Fair. You want the veal? Eat the veal.
Well, she's with her same boyfriend who's, I think, 31,
Well, there you
30
go.
something. Madonna's
Yeah,
boyfriend, I think, is 28. So there you go.
yeah, look, I'm not hating. I just thought it was hilarious. And you know what? Like they gave their pound of flesh. They can have whatever they want.
And like, you can't, well, Madonna's like new this, she's been with this boyfriend for a while, but she does have these, like, for some reason, Cher's interaction with her boyfriend seems, more like the boy just he's smiling and everything. Madonna's, and I'm no shade. I just imagine, I've talked about this on my podcast before. I just imagine because they always end. Now, this new one has been for a while, but when they end, they just end. That's it. I mean, they're always late 20s and just, it is a certain type. It's a New York, type, usually like non-white, but every time it ends, that's it. You never hear. And I just could imagine like you come over for the date and you're greeted, "Hello, please come into the office." Madonna is nowhere to be found. And they're like, "Sit down. Okay, we have some good news and some bad news." And they push like a piece of, they're like, "The good news is that this will be deposited into your account within the next 24 hours. The bad news is that you're not going to see Madonna anymore." And then you're like, wait, oh no. We've taken all your stuff upstairs. We have not touched anything. It's in the box in the hallway. We will, yes. We thank you so much for everything. And do you want the 250 or the 150 or whatever it is or not? That's what I
Is
think
this?
happens.
Oh, that's what you. So that's speculation.
This is all in my head, but it's like every person she dates is like 20-ish. They get notoriety ish. Like her current boyfriend is 28. He is with her. He travels. She went home for her father's birthday to Michigan. He's like 90 something. The boyfriend is there with the kids. So it's not like this person is just like come over at 1 a.m. and leave by 2 a.m. They are there. They're affectionate in a way, but they always end. And when they end, there's always another one, and that's it. You never, I mean, you don't hear, there's no tabloid fodder. There's no, like, I have a story. There's no Christopher Ciccone saying, do you want to have lunch? And I got a story to sell. It's always, I mean, you mean to tell me it just quietly ends like that? I don't think so.
Well, you know what they say: the kids, they keep you young.
I mean, listen, I mean, you're like, okay, a couple $100,000. I mean, this is all in my head, but I am
No,
convinced.
I think you're probably right, because that's how those things generally do work. There was a famous singer that I knew back in the day, and I was sitting in an alley after a show talking to this person's bandmates, and I said, "Isn't this so great that they have a record deal now, and now you guys are going to go on to do big stuff, and we're all going to get hooked up?" And one of the musicians goes, "Nobody's getting hooked up." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "I'm telling you right now, you think you know this person? You don't know this person. One day we're going to get a call and be told by management, not by the singer, that we've decided to go in another direction." And 3 weeks later, that whole band was fired.
Wow. Yeah, like why? But I'm convinced that Madonna has someone break up with her people for it, and there's money exchanged, and
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah. I mean, listen, why not, right?
Yeah, I guess we're all whores. We're just haggling over the price, right?
We're just haggling of. Well, I think I. That's the thing. I mean, do these people need counseling? Do they have good business sense? Like, don't accept the first offer. Don't sign anything unless it's a decent amount of money. And I'm sure I'm sure it's more money than they've ever seen, but a drop in the bucket considering.
Sure.
Because nothing is ever out there. And it's like Cher, okay, she has this 30-something-year-old boyfriend, but it's not like there's been a lot of others. Like, this is the first boyfriend I've seen. Madonna is like, there's somebody there for a year, 9 months, 2 years, and then it's just over. The public knows it's over, and then there's someone else. It just seems too regimented for me.
No, definitely. And I mean, I believe that there are certain people that are above media. Like you never find an article about the Rothschilds or people at that lofty air. They are above media, but Madonna is not,
And yes, like that. But like also like you look at the Kardashians. I mean, I don't know what Kris Jenner does over there, but she's got it going on because it's not like there's a lot of people that come and go romantically. I mean, they all kind of settle down, but all the hairstylists, publicists, chefs, drivers. I mean, you don't hear anything.
No, there's a lot of moving parts, and she keeps it tight somehow. But she's Da Vinci. She is a master at whatever it is that she does.
I think an NDA and just, a little something extra on your way out just to sweeten
How
the deal.
enforceable, counsel, are NDAs?
Like look, I mean, the more general it is, the less enforceable it is. I mean, it's just like a non-compete. Like you can't force people to never work again. And also there's a lot of things that are not in it. Like, anyone that signs an NDA with Diddy, like when something is illegal, you can speak up and take the NDA and throw it out the window. I mean, it's no longer valid. So, I mean, I think for the general, I think for business practices, they are. I just think that, look, I mean, the Kardashians will go and sue someone. What the hell do they care? So I just think, but I don't know if they're, the more general it is and the less specific, it's
Fair.
harder to enforce.
What do you think this Diddy thing is going? And do you have any experience with that crowd?
No experience with that crowd, although I'm in the Hamptons, and I mean there was all the years with the
The
Diddy in
white,
the
the white, yeah,
Hamptons.
yeah.
Melissa and I usually joke about that. She's like, "Did you ever go?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Did you?" I was like, "We're both boring." Yes. Um, I don't know. I literally change my opinion every day. Like that. There's so much, and then there are other days I'm like, apparently everyone just gets off these days with everything. So I don't know.
I know. I'm getting cynical about this stuff too. I always thought it was a cynical thing to say. I had an uncle who was a judge, and he'd say there are two tiers of justice in this country: those for people with money and those without. And then it turns out that that was more true than not.
Yeah, like I'm like a very happy person. I love life. I love people. I am wonderful to you until you do me wrong and then you're dead to me. So I have a positive outlook on life, but I am cynical just in terms of, I like to call it realistic. Like people don't do things in the world unless like there's a motivation. So I don't know. I don't know this, but there's so much out there every day against Diddy, like that you hear, like, and it's not like I'm following it that closely, but
But how
leaking
much of
from
it
the
is
courtroom.
criminal versus just bad taste or
Right.
abuse? But how much of it is actionable? I don't know. I don't comb it with I don't fine tooth comb it, but like it seems like everyone agrees that he's not a good person. But is it enough to put him behind bars?
Well, that's the, yeah, and I don't follow it that specifically either, but that's his whole legal's argument of like, yes, this man is this, it's this, but he should not be in jail.
I had a friend who visited R. Kelly in jail.
Really?
Yeah, because they had worked together in the early days of the music business. And I said, "How did it go?" And he goes, "It was weird." He goes, he was really overweight, and the other cons were calling him R. Belly to his face, which is kind of
Look,
messed
what
up.
you look at the pictures of Diddy, you're like, man, Jill changes you quick, huh?
Yeah, you don't get any hair dye, but
No.
like like I knew people that were Weinstein victims. I knew people that were Epstein victims. And they would be like, I hope there's justice. And I'm like, look at these guys. Look at Harvey right now. That man's never going to have a Pellegrino again in his life. He's never going to wear a fluffy hotel robe again. He's never going to take a bath. He's never going to sleep in a king size bed. Believe me, this is hell.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, okay, who knows what's going to happen with Diddy, but he still has gone through his. I'm not saying like, let's be lenient, but just, yeah, I'm sure he's having a really tough time in there. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not getting his hair colored. That's for sure.
He is not. He is not.
Probably, gets one bottle of baby oil at a time,
And I
if
mean, but
that.
apparently he's pretty popular amongst the I mean, look, I think it's true. I think celebrity extends to jail, right? Like, and money. I mean, you don't
No,
have the money in jail, but I
no,
think,
but
can't you?
you kind of do. No, you can because I've known white collar criminals that get a bunch of money deposited in their canteen account and then they barter with their ramens or their honey buns or
Like,
whatever it
can
is that
you
they have.
deposit as much money as you want in there? Like when Martha Stewart went in, like, or whoever, can you just say, I have endless amounts of money. I'm putting thousands and thousands of dollars in here. Or is there a limit, I wonder?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because otherwise, yes, I would think that's exactly what it is. If you're Diddy and you put like $10,000 in there because everything is so cheap and everyone else is working at the hair salon and mopping the floors, and you're like, who wants like 12 candy bars today? Yeah, I mean, you love this person.
Yeah, clean
But
my toilet and protect me.
correct. Like, I don't want to do this today. Can you do this for me? I'll give you, 15 candy bars. Great. Yeah.
Yeah,
And by the
I don't know, but
way, I think it extends outside too. Again, here's my cynical view of like, oh, I need protection in here. Like your mother lives in, her mortgage is $4,000. Okay, would you want to have it pay it off? Here's four. Yeah, like I think you can move things on the outside too.
yeah, I had a friend that went to prison for drugs. Well, not for drugs, but for not showing up to his court dates because judges, it turns out, really hate that.
They do.
And And they kicked down his door, and he called me from prison, and he goes, "Dude, this is a bad scene here. I'm a little white guy from LA, and it's like I can't join the. I'm not joining the Nazis. I'm not joining the Hispanic gang. I'm not joining the black gang. I'm on my own here." And he goes, "And by the way, no one here gives a fuck that I know the Rolling Stones." And I thought that was kind of funny. But
They do
he got through
not.
it 18 months.
Wow. I mean, that's the thing. You. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll never experience it, but it can't be easy. No.
No, David, I've spent a night in jail a couple times just for mischief, and let me tell you something. I'm a law-abiding citizen now.
I've always been a law-abiding citizen. I've been to jail myself, but never spent a night. That's a whole different experience.
Yeah, I did on my
Never
college
spent a night.
graduation day. It's in my book, which I'll send you if I haven't already.
Okay, send it.
Yeah, but it was for failure to appear in court on a bicycle ticket, and I ended up a night in jail.
That'll teach you a lesson.
And they wouldn't let me take my graduation gown off. I was like, "You guys cannot put me in there with cons wearing a graduation gown."
I was just
They
gonna say.
they they uncuffed me and then recuffed me with my hands between my legs so I couldn't get the gown off. It's kind of
I was just
embarrassing.
gonna say that doesn't set you up for success if you're in your graduation gown.
No, it's not cricket. Not a good look.
Mm-mm.
David Yontef, tell everyone where they can find you.
They can listen to Behind the Velvet Rope podcast. It is an every single day show. We have 7 to 9 shows a week on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. Lots of reality TV, lots of Bravo, but we also interview celebrities and just talk about pop culture, and on Instagram at Behind Velvet Rope. But Behind the Velvet Rope, Apple, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcast. And please listen to us. We'd love to hear from you.
David, thanks so much for taking the time out from your day to talk to me, and it was really fun.
Really fun. I'll come back anytime you want. Thank you so
All
much.
right. The Bad Decisions podcast was produced by Brock Workman of Her Dad Entertainment. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts so you'll never miss an episode. My book, The Big Book of Bad Decisions, is available for purchase wherever books are sold. A special thanks to today's guest, David Yontef, for joining me. I'm your host, Scott Nathan. Thanks for listening.